This is the free motion quilting tutorial for landscape stitch. This design is stitched by first creating your landscape, and this is kind of a foundation. So you can see I'm just simply stitching these kind of hilly shapes. I can't really describe it any better than that, and really this is going to be different for everybody. I kind of like this nice kind of flowing soft hills. And really it helps when you start kind of from the base and start with two kind of hilly shapes and then fit another hill kind of in between them and then two on the sides. And really, like I said, it's different for everybody, so just play with it and play with, creating a landscape that you see in your hometown. So if it's a very flat landscape or it's a very mountainous landscape, play with stitching exactly what you're seeing whenever you look out the window. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Please keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be with every single line connecting together. You can see I made that one nice and long and smoother than the rest. They really don't have to be anything particular, so don't feel like you have to mark this, and don't feel like you have to make it just exactly stacking on top of one another. Think of this more as an organic texture, something more like tree bark, where the more interesting the hilly shapes, the more interesting your final texture will be. So you can see I'm just filling this entire space in. And this is your foundation, so whatever you set to start with is what you're going to be filling later. So if you don't want to have a big headache of filling tiny, itsy bitsy tiny hills, then make sure that they're nice and big and give you more than enough space to work inside of. So here I'm just finishing it up and kind of matching it up with this edge of my quilting space. And then I'm going to start the second part of this design, and that is filling inside of each hill. And so I'm going to kind of fill in this weird area between the edge of my quilting space and the hills before it. And basically how this works is I am just simply stitching echoes, back and forth echoes into this quilting space. So now I'm going to start the first kind of hill shape. And another cool thing about this design is the amount of thread buildup that you're going to focus over the top part of the hill. So I'm actually going to intentionally travel stitch over the top parts of the hills so that way they really stand out against the rest of them. And you can see this better as we move further down the piece. You can see how the tops of those hills really stand out against the rest of them. And this design could be used for not just, landscape to show hills and mountains, but also water. And so I'm just darkening that thread by simply travel stitching over it, maybe once or twice, in order to have 2 or 3 levels of thread in that area. And to make the lines, I just simply travel stitch and echo, and travel stitch and echo, and that's what fills the space. And it really is a gorgeous texture. It can work in any open area of your quilt. You can create a landscape just with this stitch and use different colors of green or purple or blue thread and really create something that's absolutely fantastic. And here's what it looks like whenever you finish landscape stitch. For over 250 videos on free motion quilting just like this one, check out daystyledesigns.com.